All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin. All right, guys, we're continuing to get our move down. And in yesterday's video, actually, for the past week, I've been talking about a bigger ABC correction to the downside, where our overall target was to eventually take out our 78 200 lows here. And we have done that. We have moved down to take out those lows now. Now, why did I look at this target being taken out? Well, we're in a larger complex corrective structure here after this giant, $21,000 impulse to the downside. A couple Sundays ago, we saw Trump tweet about the reserve. We saw a very clear three-wave structure to the upside. There's no other way to count that except a three-wave corrective structure to the upside with a big impulse in your wave C. So that right there gave me a signal that, okay, after another three-wave structure, if we start to see a five-wave impulse down followed by some corrective price action up, we're going to be looking for a C wave, a bigger A, B, C correction to the downside to come take these lows. We also have to remember these lows front ran that key pitchfork of our bearish pitchfork that we were looking at down here. We had a front run of our bearish pitchfork, the bottom of it. And so I said, I do not like how we front ran that. If we would have came a little bit lower to fill the CME gap and to actually touch the support of the pitchfork, then maybe we would have seen a better move up from this, a more clear move up. Also, we rejected from the value area low on the bearish backtest, rejected a second time on the value area low from the bearish backtest. After you lose a range to the downside, oftentimes in healthy markets, you'll come back up to test it to see if the market wants to confirm a lower fair value for the asset or not. Well, we tested it once, rejected, tested it again, rejected. So we knew that the market was trying to reestablish a new fair value for Bitcoin below our range of 93,000 to 103,000. And okay, so if we know that, we know we're in a giant complex corrective structure in all of this. This is all a complex corrective structure here. So let's go back to our Coinbase chart. Had the three-wave move up from the Trump tweet. We had our clear five-wave impulse down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That wick there was our fourth wave. It took the liquidity of this local range here. Clear five-wave impulse to the downside. Now this, I've talked about this. This is really messy here, but this is based off of volume. Now, structure-wise, yes, you do see five waves in here, but you cannot count that as an impulse because the third wave is the shortest wave. Also, there's not a lot of volume in there. And even though it was kind of messy and kind of hard to count, I was looking at this as a corrective wave based off the push-up being on low volume here. So I said, okay, if it's a B wave, we can, there's a lot of common targets for a B wave, but one of the real two common targets are between the golden pocket and the 786. Well, we came up to the 786. If we do our Fibonacci pull from the high to the low here, and we turn on our 786, you can see we came right up into that 786 along with the value area low, and we rejected from this area. I was looking for a short. If you go back 2 or 3 videos ago, I was looking for a short. I had a purple box up here where we were looking for a short from up here. Okay, we rejected from there, and we started changing market structure on lower time frames. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And then we saw this pretty good size increase up. And at first we were looking at this as a wave 1, 2, 3, and then maybe a 4 or 5. But we were being a little impatient here, knowing that this took a little bit longer. Our A wave and our B wave took a little bit longer. So our C wave down, I've been talking about a 5-wave impulse down and a C wave for about a week now. And after we had this big dump, I think that was last Friday, and then we made this push up, I said, oh, this looks awfully much like a 1-2 to me. And then 3 came all the way down here. Now, last night, I ended the video right as we were down in this support area. And I said, I did have a box down there based off of a smaller 3-wave impulse. Let me just do this here for a second. We were looking at a smaller possible ABC from our weekend move of this being a 3-wave correction. Now, if this was just going to be a 3-wave correction, our support would hold here because that was our target, and we would want to see an impulse to the upside. That's a horrible impulse, but we'd want to see an impulse to the upside with it completing. Now, I said in yesterday's video, we really need to watch the way this bounces here, because if it bounces in a low volume 3-wave zigzag to the upside, we know it's just another corrective move and could be the wave 4 of the bigger 5-wave impulse down. Well, woke up this morning, first thing I did when I checked the charts here, we were just in this 3-wave impulse completing. I did post real time in the Discord as soon as I woke up. Guys, this looks very 3-wave corrective to me. This does not look like the start of a new impulse. I expect us to make new lows throughout the day. And we did come down and make new lows throughout the day. Unfortunately, that was not the end of it. And we were seeing, now let's go ahead and go into our C wave, our bigger C wave to the downside. I've been expecting this for a week, and actually I'll go ahead and play in a YouTube video from a few days ago where I was talking about this bigger C wave impulse to the downside. So let's go ahead and play this. Let me be clear on that. This being the A wave, our 5-wave impulse down, this being a B wave, although this is kind of hard to count as a 3-wave structure right now, and then a C wave down here to take out these lows here and maybe even these lows down here. But that's kind of what we're looking at still. Another low kind of grindy day today. So yeah, we were looking at this as a 3-wave corrective structure, a bigger ABC correction based off of what happened in this very clear 3-wave push up, followed by our 5-wave impulse down. Now, when we started rejecting here, I said the B wave, it's a high probability our B wave is in, and we're going to see a 5-wave impulse to the downside. Couple days ago, my thumbnail was a video of a bigger ABC correction with this C wave being a 5-wave impulse to the downside. Now, there's 2 ways we can count this 5-wave impulse to the downside. And if we're going to count it the way I just showed at first, where this is our start of the impulse down, this is our wave 2 push up, our wave 3 here. Overnight, we had our 3-wave corrective wave 4, where we did end around the 382, which is a common rejection target for a 4th wave. And then our 5th wave, did it end here earlier today? Because we can measure that target to see if we met our targets. And if any of you are in the Jason Casper Discord, you know that I posted about this earlier today, right, as it was happening. But I also want to caution, because you see we're dropping now. And I also want to caution, we front ran the 1.236, which I think is a pretty major level, because the most common targets for a C wave. Now, how did I get these targets for the C wave? In a C wave, you're going from the highs of wave A to the lows of wave A to the highs of wave B. So when I do that, oh, why'd I delete that one? When I do that, your targets are your common targets for a C wave are between the 1-to-1 and the 1.236. So we have our 1-to-1 and our 1.236 targets down here. And now we're in that zone of support, but we look to see if our 5-wave structure is completed. Well, I just showed you with this here, it could be completed. We could be done with it, but let's not jump the gun here, because I want to talk about, we can also count this as a double 1-2, with this being a wave 1 here, this push up being a wave 2, this being another wave 1, this being another wave 2, all of this being a 3rd wave. This would be our first 4, first 5, second 4, second 5. We would need one more 5 to the downside, which looks like it's happening as we speak. So do we continue to drop in our double 1-2 5-wave impulse to the downside to that key zone of 76,600, where we have our 1.236, and it's pretty dang close to our pitchfork support as well. Right now, it's starting to look like this was a double 1-2, where we see that push to the downside to actually come into this zone. Now, if we look at this 4th wave correction that we saw overnight, and we do a Fibonacci pull from the lows of the 3rd wave to the potential highs of the 4th wave, not the potential highs, to the highs of the 4th wave, and we turn on our expansion targets. Now, the 5th wave, let me get rid of this for a second here. Our 5th wave expansion targets to look for a 5th wave, if you're looking at the 4th wave, is the most common targets are between the 1.236 and the 1.618. Well, look at where we bounced today at the 1.618. So there was a possibility that this could have been the end of the 5-wave impulse, and that we could have started a bigger impulse to the upside. Now, there's still a possibility of that, by the way. There's still a bigger possibility that our impulse, our 5-wave impulse finish to the downside and we push up. Now, if that's the case, we pretty much have to, let's go ahead and zoom in on the 15-minute chart. We're going to have to hold the local golden pocket to 786 because if this is the start of a wave 1 impulse to the downside, our wave 2 cannot pass the 786. So we can do a local Fibonacci pull from the lows to the highs, and we go to our, I'm going to JC pocket, which I call the Jason Casper pocket. It's the between the golden pocket and the 786. So if we lose 77.9 pretty much, we can expect another new low to be made on Bitcoin in a completion of a double 1-2 impulse to the downside. Now, once we get to that 76.6 level, if we do not see a bounce there, Bitcoin's in real trouble, because what if all of that is a third wave? So let's go into that. Let's zoom out onto the 4-hour chart. The really bearish scenario for Bitcoin is that this is not a A, B, C. This is a 1, 2, 3 way down to 70K 4, 5, you know? So right now it does look corrective and it does look like this 5-wave impulse is coming to an end. But if we continue to break the 1.2, if we continue to drop and break the 1.236, we do have a much greater possibility. So let's go ahead and look at that scenario. Let's pull our trend-based Fibonacci extinction from the highs. Now, in this case, we're going to be counting it as a 1-2. So from the highs of wave 1 to the lows of wave 1 to the highs of wave 2. Now, in a third wave impulse to the downside, the 1.618 is one of your major targets. So our third wave, if this is not an ABC and this is a bigger, much bigger impulse to the downside, we expect to come to the 1.618 at 72K, 72.2. And then see a small bounce maybe up to 76 and then drop to 70. And what do we know is at 70? Major support between 72K and 70K. So there is a real possibility that Bitcoin could be in a bigger impulse to the downside after a 3-wave correction to the upside, a $17,000 3-wave correction to the upside. Then you see a big multi, 20,000 plus correction to the downside. That is a real possibility for Bitcoin, and I'm not taking that out of the window yet. It's a valid scenario to me still, based off of what we're seeing on Market Cypher, what we're seeing on higher timeframes, and the bearish signals we are seeing on higher timeframes. If any of you have been following my channel, you know a couple weeks ago I did make a Wyckoff distribution video talking about us being highly likely to work our way down to 72 to 70K over the next couple months. So we are in the process of that still. It does look like a distribution. Since I've made that video, I've seen a couple other really good traders make a video about distribution. And also I've seen a couple other Ellioticians now finally looking at this as an ABC correction here to the downside as well. So we are seeing a lot of, I guess, great minds think alike in what could be happening here with Bitcoin. And we're not out of the woods yet. But we're just going to see, we're going to have to wait now to see how Bitcoin reacts locally. Yes, we have hit our 4th wave corrective target for a wave 5. So if this is not a double 1-2 impulse, then Bitcoin has to hold our local golden pocket. Has to hold this local golden pocket 786 area in this zone here. If it doesn't, we're going to come to 76.6. And if we break 76.6 and start to break it with some volume, then we're really going to be coming down to 72 to 70K to finish a much bigger 5-wave impulse to the downside. And that would be acceptable because within a wave 3 of a bigger 5-wave impulse, you do see a 5-wave subcount within the bigger wave 3. I know that gets confusing, but Elliott waves is like fractals within fractals. Think of it as sub-degree structures within larger degree structures. So if this is a larger degree impulse to the downside, with that being your wave 1 here, this being your wave 2, your wave 3 would bring you down to around the 1.618. It could even go further than the 1.618. Your wave 4 maybe brings you back up to backtest the pitchfork band. Your wave 5 brings you down to the very key 70K level golden pocket retest of the prior range value area high. Now, within this third wave, you are looking for a smaller degree 5-wave impulse. A wave 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, of course, if it's going to go to the 1.618, then we would probably call all of this a wave 3, and we might see a bigger wave 4 in here. And then your wave 5 would take a little bit to get down to this area within the 3. A smaller wave 3, smaller 5-wave impulse within your bigger third wave. So this is what we're looking at on Bitcoin right now. But as far as us ending and seeing this as a ABC correction, well, first of all, we did not get the SFP of the lows. We did not get a real good reaction there. And we are just hovering around down here with low volume. Now, we are seeing some bull divs. This is important to look at. We have lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the momentum waves. Money flow does not look the best still. You can see our money flow still coming out on the hourly chart. We can go to our 4-hourly chart. And let's go ahead and pull this here. All right. Let me get rid of this here. No bull divs on the 4-hour. It's about equal, if not a little bit lower. Money flow still coming out on the 4-hour. Still looking pretty bearish on the 4-hour, actually. So that's a strike one right there that maybe this is going to end at 76.6. We do want to see if this was the end of a bigger ABC correction. We would want to see some higher time frame divs coming in here. Yes, we do have some low time frame divs. We've been building low time frame divs throughout the day. You can see here as we're dropping, making lower lows in the price action here. You can see our momentum waves, higher lows all through here. So we are building some really good drives of bull div on the 15-minute. But once again, look at these bull divs kind of played out overnight. We were seeing bull divs on the 15-minute yesterday. Here, overnight, we got the small wave 4 push up. The money flow pushed up, just crossed over into the green, and then started dropping again. So these local bull divs have kind of already played out with that move up last night. Last night, my time. Now, are we forming bull divs between these two lows? Yes, we are. We're starting to form some bull divs. But once again, look at the money flow. It does not look the best here. Also, if we look at our CVD, let's go ahead and go on to our CVD. We are in very dangerous territory of seeing more bearish CVD absorption happen on the charts. Lower high on the price action here. Higher high on our CVD. Not much higher, but it is higher. And our open interest, the one thing I would say about our open interest is it's kind of flat and it's starting to go down here. So that's the only thing saving us from absorption, but we are still seeing bearish CVD divergence on the chart near the lows. So that's almost another strike too that Bitcoin is getting close to ending here. We want to see some bullish absorption coming in, and particularly what we would want to see if this was the end of our fifth wave at the 77.4 level that we bottomed out at today. We would really want to see some bullish absorption coming in here. You know, we would want to see higher lows on the price action. We would want to see lower lows on the CVD, and we would want to see our open interest increasing. We're seeing pretty much the exact opposite of that. Look at this. I mean, like, our CVD is increasing drastically here. Now, because our open interest is decreasing, though, that's really late shorters getting stopped out. All the people that were shorting in here are starting to get stopped out. So, not absorption, not bearish CVD absorption, a little bit of exhaustion here. We're seeing a little bit of exhaustion, but it's still not the best sign. We want to see absorption, bullish absorption here, and we are definitely not seeing bullish absorption with this CVD going up like this. Yes, our open interest is going down, meaning that this little push up has been a little bit of a short squeeze, stopping out all the late longers all the late shorters that have shorted after a giant drop today. I still don't understand why people do that, but it's not looking too hot for Bitcoin right now. Does that mean that we can't bounce? No, we can still bounce here. We need to start to form a range in this area. You can kind of see we're starting to form a sideways range. Let's go back to this chart here. And let's look at this. We are starting to form, it looks like here, after this kind of big impulse here, we're starting to form a sideways range in here. So if Bitcoin continue to kind of just range for a bit and then maybe make that push up, it might be the end still. There is a possibility that our 5-wave impulse to the downside in a C wave is completed. I just showed you guys that based off of our wave 4 correction to the upside that we had overnight. and meeting those expansion targets on that correction. If we go to our expansion targets and we look at our fifth wave targets between the 1.236 and the 1.618, we'll look at where we ended, right at the 1.618, just an itty bit of a wick past it. So yes, we have hit our target to complete a fifth wave. Also, we have to keep in mind that we are in the bigger target zone of the bigger ABC correction. So if we zoom out on the 4-hour and we look at this as an ABC, we do our trend-based Fibonacci extinction from the highs here of A to the lows of A. I'll fix that. To the highs of B. We bring it down to the lows here, and we turn on our ABC target zone. It's between the 1-to-1 and the 1.236. Now, we are in that zone. Clearly, we are in our zone of support here on Bitcoin. We have met two targets for support on Bitcoin as far as Elliott structure goes, as far as Elliott theory goes. The only problem is when we break this 1-to-1 here and kind of chop below it for a bit, that was circled horribly, but when we break this 1-to-1 fib target here and chop below it for a bit, usually you do end up coming down to actually hit the 1.236. Not always, sometimes. Sometimes if there's other support confluence in this area, you can end in that area between the two. But that's why during Jason's stream today, I was talking about that 76.6 level being a really good level to watch for the end of it, because if this is the ABC, it has to end here. If we go past this, then we have a very highly increased probability that we're going to drop to the 1.618, and it might be a 5-wave impulse to the downside instead of a 3-wave corrective move. Now, I want to talk about something else that's a little bit confusing with Elliott wave structure. Sometimes in what's called an expanded correction, in an ABC correction, you do see the C wave. If it's a really powerful dump to the downside, you can still have an A, B, C, where your C wave does dump all the way to the 1.618, and that's the end of it, and then you go higher. Now, that's an expanded correction on an ABC. That's kind of rare. I mean, it does happen in crypto. It does definitely happen in crypto, but if we come down here, it's going to be really hard to tell whether this is the end of an expanded C or if this is the third wave of a 5-wave impulse down where we continue down. So we're really going to have to pay attention once we get down here. Now, we do know, because of, if we zoom out and look like on the daily chart, we do know that actually we'll go on the weekly chart here. We do know that that 72K area is a major support area. If we do our 49K lows up to our all-time high and we look at our golden pocket here, our golden pocket is within that zone. You can see our 1.618 is right on top of the 618 of the golden pocket. So now let's go ahead and zoom back into the 4-hour chart, and you can see our 618 is right there. So if that's the only reason why I would say that could be an ABC with an expanded C all the way down to the 1.618, because we have a major support down there as well. But if this is going to be a 5-wave impulse, we still have to keep in mind that this could be a 1, 2. Our third wave brings us all the way down to the 1.618. We see a bounce in a range happen within our pitchfork band, which often happens in pitchfork bands for a longer wave 4 that might last a week or 2 weeks. And then we come down, grab the liquidity of these lows once again, get everyone super fearful that the golden pocket's breaking, only to hit our 70K 0.65 golden pocket and shoot up. That is what I'm also watching for, because we do know right around that 70K area is also the value area high of our previous 7-month range on Bitcoin. This range here, our previous 7-month range on Bitcoin, the value area high of that range is right around this 70K area. So that's kind of what we're looking at on Bitcoin right now. It is at a support level, and if it is it could hold. If we want to see this hold, we're going to need to start forming some bullish structure pretty quickly here. And if it is going to hold here, we probably want to see, like on a 15-minute or hourly time frame, we want to see a 5-wave impulse to the upside with some really big volume coming in our third wave here to really let us know, okay, and we want to break some market structure locally. Break market structure, break market structure. Do not wick it and come back. You want to see a clean break of it and a continuation. especially this high here. Let me actually go ahead and mark that with this. We want to see a break of this structure here, these highs here, and we want to see it not just wick above, kind of come below, wick, do this. That would be corrective. We want to see it go boom, straight through it with volume. That's what we're looking at on Bitcoin, guys. Other than that, there's not too much more that I'm looking at. Yes, let's go to our bearish pitchfork real quick. We are in the support band of our bearish pitchfork, our lower bearish pitchfork band. This is the area that needs to hold us. And actually, you can see that retrace we had on that little dip here. We just dropped to the bottom of the pitchfork band. So if this is a 1, 2, and we're about to see a 3, this area, we could drop a little bit lower. We could actually drop to the 786 and still be good. But we don't want to be, if we even could drop to the 886, that highly increases the probability of taking these lows out. So we're in support. We have multiple confluences of support down in this area. If this is going to be, if we're going to see one more 4-5 to the downside, our 5 wave could end around that 74,800 level, 75K, where the bottom of our bearish pitchfork that we had front ran last time we were down here. We had front ran the bottom of the bearish pitchfork support. And this bearish pitchfork was pulled from the all-time highs, and we've been following it very, very nicely on the charts here. Rejection from the top, rejection from the band, bounce from the midline, rejected from the band, lost, came to the bottom midline, rejected from the midline, came to the bottom band, rejected from the midline. You get the idea. It's being respected. So, but we have not tested the bottom of the pitchfork yet. We have not tested the bottom support. There is a scenario where we do come down to 75K to test that bottom support. What I'm worried about is money flow. Look at our money flow on the 2-hour especially. Like, this is very bearish. Yes, we are seeing some bull divs here. Lower lows on the price action, higher lows, lower lows price action here, higher lows on the momentum waves, you can see here. But when you see money flow this bearish, in some respects, it overpowers your bull divs. Bull divs here, money flow, really bearish. I go with the money flow here. Also, if we go on to the 4-hour, there's no bull divs, and we kind of want to see bull divs in this area. So I do think it's possible that we see, based off of this, a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could see one more 4, 5 to hit 75K. But once again, if we do come down to 75K, we're breaking our 1.236 of our bigger ABC. And that's not a good sign. It's just not a good sign for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, right now, guys, I hate to say it and I hate to be the bearer in the room, but things are looking a little bearish here. And we did know all through this range here, I kept warning in the videos about the money flow. I kept warning about how on the daily chart, seeing daily bear divs, weekly bear divs, monthly bear divs confirm money flow draining the entire range. We saw the warning signs of this. And we've had 2 bearish back tests of the value area low. I think it was last Friday, I made a video saying, okay, guys, we've had 2 back tests now of this, or maybe it was this Monday. We saw 2 bearish back tests of the value area low. We have rejected both times, telling me that the market wants to price in Bitcoin at a lower fair value than the last range that we were in up here. It sucks, but that's what we have to look at now. We have to not put our emotions in, and we just have to follow what the charts are showing us. And unfortunately, right now, the charts are showing us there is potential for more downside. Now, we could see a bounce here. Where we're at right now, we could see a bounce all the way up to the midline and to retest our anchored VWAP. We have not, since we've lost, and also, I know I'm getting off subject. I've been talking about this anchored VWAP, how on the daily chart, we have not closed any daily candles below the anchored VWAP. I said in yesterday's video and the day before yesterday's video, if we start breaking this anchored VWAP to the downside and closing daily candles below it, it's going to look bad for Bitcoin and we're going to come take the lows. Well, guess what happened? Yesterday, broke it to the downside, closed the daily candle below it, broke today to the downside. We did finally come take those lows today. So we were right to think that if we start breaking and closing daily candles below our anchored VWAP, we would see new lows. That now has become a reality. But here's the problem now. Here's the scenario that Bitcoin is, and This anchored VWAP on the daily, you can see for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days or so, it was really holding as a more macro support level on the daily for Bitcoin. Now that we're breaking it to the downside, even if we bounce here or at the bottom of the pitchfork, we can come up to bearishly backtest that anchored VWAP, which might be in alignment with the pitchfork midline, and then we could just continue dumping to 70K. Unfortunately, right now, Bitcoin is losing key support levels, and we're seeing bearish signs on the chart, bearish money flow on the chart. Money's coming out. Yes, we are seeing some bull divs. And look I do want to show you this now because also, I know I'm giving a bunch of mixed signals, but I'm just trying to show you everything on the chart so you're prepared for what could happen. Because now the only bearish hope, bullish hope that we have is now today, with taking out the lows from a couple weeks ago or a week ago or so, we have made lower lows on the price action, and look at our daily market cipher, higher lows on the market cipher B. So we are potentially, now they haven't confirmed yet, but we are potentially forming bull divs on the daily. Money flow looks like junk. I do not like this on the daily. We are seeing a continuation of this bleed out of money flow during this whole range. But if you want to be a bull with some hopium, and thinking that maybe the low, please let the low be in soon. Well, we do have some signs that the low could be near with our bull divs on the daily now ripe to confirm. That's all we got though, guys. If we start breaking, really there's already a high probability that we come down to 70K. But if we don't hold 75K or really 76.6, we might come down to 72 to 70K. So that's what we got on Bitcoin. Let's look at our liquidations. Let's go ahead and refresh this. 24-hour chart. Now, we're going to have a lot of liquidity to the upside just because we've been dumping so hard. So we do have liquidity above last night's highs or this morning's highs, that wave 4 correction that we saw to the upside, that 3-wave zigzag to the upside. So you can see we do have some liquidity around 84,500, 84,600. And then let's go to our Model 3 heat map and let's look at our Model 3. Yeah, we do got liquidity above that highs. Now, this was that ABC correction that we saw overnight, that smaller wave 4 correction in our bigger impulse down. So liquidity above those highs, but you can also see we do have some liquidity below us. Let's go to like the 2-week here. Look at this, guys. Where's the majority of our liquidity? The highest levels of liquidity below us, 70K. 69K, 70K in this major support zone. So we have to bear in mind, yes, we do have some good liquidity up here around 87K, 88K, but look at this all down here. Look at all this liquidity down here. Do you think the market makers are just going to leave this sitting here now that we're so close to it on macro timeframes? We might come up to take this first and then come down here to take this, but this is a lot of liquidity that can almost reset the markets. I think that's a high probability that we come down here. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this week. It might even take another month or 2 months to happen. Honestly, the longer it happens, in some respects, it could be better for us. It gives Bitcoin and those oscillators some time to reset and get rid of those monthly bear divs, weekly bear divs, daily bear divs that we were seeing on the chart. But it would also kind of invalidate the daily bull div that we're seeing locally. Anyways, that's what I got here on Bitcoin now. It sucks that Bitcoin's dropping. It sucks that altcoins are bleeding so hard. I know we're all crypto enthusiasts that have spot bags, but this is the market. This is the game we play. And now all we have to do is try to stay emotionless as possible and trade the levels and look at the signals on the charts. Let the charts tell us what we're going to do. Set up trade plans for both the bullish scenarios and the bearish scenarios and let the market come to you. Do not try to force trades or do not try to force longs because you've gotten stopped out or whatever, just don't play that game. Let the market come to you. Okay, so that's about it for Bitcoin. I do have to leave here in about 20 minutes, so we can go real quickly into a couple things, and then I'll make another video later today. But you can also see, guys, I did talk about here on the total market cap chart, I was really worried how we were making this chop, and if you go watch my videos last week, I was really worried about total market cap making this chop underneath the pitchfork, the bullish pitchfork. Now, this pitchfork has pretty much been a signal for us for the entire bull market. And you can see here now we're losing it to the downside and confirming some dumps to the downside, new lows being made on total market cap. And just a few days ago, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago in one of my videos, if you go check it out, I said, if we start losing this pitchfork, it's a highly probable that we come down to the golden pocket. And if we do, Bitcoin's probably coming to 70K and altcoins are probably coming down to almost bear market support levels. Not the actual lows of bear markets, but the support levels like Chainlink at $10, Solana at $100. You know, that's a possibility if we continue to bleed out and come down to this pitchfork or this golden pocket. Now, this golden pocket is a golden pocket pull from the lows down here when market cap was at 1.69 trillion all the way up to the all-time highs of crypto market cap up here around 3.75 trillion. And you can see this golden pocket. Now, you have to use a log scale on this golden pocket because that's such a big percentage move there. But if you look at this range that we have here, this is almost like Bitcoin's 7-month range that we saw for most of 2024. The point of control of this range is right in that golden pocket. It is very strong support down here. So I do expect if crypto continues to bleed out and we come down here, I do expect at least a decent bounce to maybe try to make a more macro lower high. And that's going to be the time when you want to exit some coins. Even if you long the lows on some alts, like say you long Chainlink at $10, and we start to see a 3-wave correction in this move up here to our local golden pocket. So let's just do, you could look at a local golden pocket. Say we come down to a point of control. I'll just put it right at that point of control there. That's not even there. Right there. And your golden pocket would be in the bearish backtest of that pitchfork band. Loss of the pitchfork, not the band. The bearish backtest of the pitchfork would be right around that golden pocket area. And if this is a 3-wave corrective structure and Chainlink's at $20, even if you long to that 10, you might want to take some profits and leave a moon bag in there just in case. But that's something we can look for, and maybe we're going to start a bear market. I've been a little bit less bullish on the altcoin cycle than a lot of great traders that I really look up to. I've also been a little bit more bearish on Bitcoin in that upper range because I saw the bearish signals up there. Now, I'm not trying to be a bear. I really want crypto to do well, and I want to believe that this new administration is going to really revolutionize crypto and change crypto. But we just have to be prepared. And I mean, look at if we did move down to this golden pocket would, now this is completely theoretical because we haven't done that, but look at this support resistance flip that we're seeing here. If we just put on these lows here, so support, flipped it. Support all through here, flipped it, resistance, drop. So that golden pocket is around these highs here. You could even put it up in like this area here. And that's an important support resistance flip on a more macro time frame as well. That 3.1 to $3.2 trillion, $3.15 trillion area. Look at money flow here. I mean, just garbage. Looks really bad right now. It looks like altcoins and Bitcoin wants to keep bleeding. Yes, we are seeing some bull divs possibly confirm on the daily. Not confirm, form. Not confirm yet. All right, that's it for total market cap. That's it for Bitcoin. Let's go into Ethereum real quickly here. Ethereum is in our support box that I laid out yesterday. I did talk about if this low doesn't hold, in the SFP into our daily doesn't hold, we are going to come down into our box of support, which is at the bottom of our big daily descending channel. This is why I had this marked out as a major support level. Bottom of the big daily descending channel. I mean, we do have a lot of support here. Oh, I didn't mark it out, but I believe there's a golden pocket down there. There's also the point of control of this smaller accumulation range in that area. There's a lot down here. So if this box does not hold, we're coming to 1,500, 1,600. 1,600 to 1,500. That's the next level for Ethereum. But Ethereum has, ever since its 4,100 highs, look at how nice this. Let me hide some of this. Let me clean up this chart for you guys. I am sorry about that. Let's just take some of this off for now. All right, and we'll delete this daily. Now we broke it to the downside. No reaction there, but look at this here, and I'll delete this too because we've hit into that. descending channel on the daily pulled. Now, this descending channel was pulled from this high. Originally, I had it at this high, but when we wicked just a little bit above, I moved it to this high, and I bring it to our flash crash lows. I originally had it at these first lower lows here, and you can see that it was being respected still. We had that big flash crash wick below it, but overall, we were holding it on the daily and trying to make a move up, and we rejected from the midline. But once we started breaking it to the downside, bearishly back tested it here on the daily time frame after breaking it to the downside and now crashing, we can take this and we can now adjust it for our more bearish descending channel. And look at now that we've adjusted it for our dump to really include this dump here, you can see we're at the bottom and we're at our major support level in this area. So if Ethereum doesn't hold here, 1600 to 1512, 1506-ish. That area is our only really level of support that we have left before, really going low. I mean, we have a monthly down here at 1200, but you really don't want to see us go that low. So unfortunately right now, and also Ethereum, I mean, this looks so bad up here. This like kind of triple top that we had up here. This did look like a sort of 5-wave impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I mean, that's kind of messy. You could probably count that a couple different ways, or you could count this like as a correction here, correction here. There's a few ways to count this, but overall, in the larger context of things, we're breaking major ranges. So for Ethereum, if we go just grab our parallel channel and we go from the last highs from our last cycle, and we just create a parallel channel and we bring it down to these lows. Like, let me go ahead and hide this one for a second so you can see this. Look how nice this sideways zone was in for years. Since December of 2023, we were trading kind of within this sideways area, which could have been a very long reaccumulation, but we're starting to lose it to the downside and no signs. I mean, if we bounce from here and get back within a couple weeks in here, it could be a deviation of this range, but look at how nice this range has played out for years. Bottom here, came to the top, held the midline for months, came pretty much to the top again, held the midline here, lost it, came to the bottom. Now our midline kind of turned to a resistance, even though it's a little bit lower than our midline. It's probably like what we call like the golden pocket deviation, the 618 of that channel. If you turn this into a fib channel, broke it to the upside, support, lost it, resistance, dropping, breaking. So unfortunately, Ethereum just does not look good on a more macro time frame. We are at a major support level. We do need to see if Ethereum will hold this major support, but let's go back here. Let me now hide both of these channels, and I want to talk about on the weekly chart. I gave you guys this a couple weeks ago, actually probably like a month ago now. I started talking about this weekly ascending channel on the entire bull market trend on Ethereum. So if we go from the bear market lows to our next higher low here, let's put it here, and then we bring it up to our very first highs, you can see how nicely Ethereum had been trading on a weekly time frame in a major macro ascending channel here on the weekly. And I talked about when we had that flash crash, that was our first bad sign because we had the flash crash. We were trying to get back within the channel on the weekly, but we couldn't even close a weekly within it. Or we did close one weekly, but we dumped the very next week. And I did talk about if we start losing this weekly ascending channel on Ethereum, that it is absolutely possible to come down sub 2K. And I know I got a lot of crap for that. I got actually a lot of crap for that. Well, it's happening. We're here. We're sub 2K. It could come down to 1500. And I know that people think that's crazy right now. We could absolutely come down to sub 200, sub 2000 down to 1500. If we do our golden pocket pull and we go from the lows of the bear market to our highs here, and we turn on our golden pocket, but we have to turn it to log scale because that's more than a 100% move. You can see our golden pocket is in that support band. That's where our 1500 area is. That's why we have this area here as a major support level. It's also the second pivot of our channel. Now, how often have I told you guys this on the channel? Anytime on my YouTube channel, how often have I told you that anytime we have a ascending or descending channel and we start breaking it with volume to the downside, oftentimes you will drop to at least sweep the liquidity of the second pivot of that channel, if not the entire channel. Now, I'm not that bearish yet. I don't think we're going to sweep the liquidity at $900 here, $800, whatever. But I do think it is possible that we could come down to 1,500 to sweep the liquidity of the second pivot of the channel into our macro golden pocket. Now, at this level, for me, that's a swing long and a swing buy, spot buy for Ethereum if you are bullish on Ethereum. If that doesn't hold, unfortunately, I mean, there is a possibility we could come all the way down. I would look at the 786 first, of course, because we do know altcoins in bear markets retrace to the 786 or 886. So if we're not in a complete bear market, then then this golden pocket really has to hold, or the 786 would. All right, so yeah, that's about it on Ethereum. I mean, we can look here on higher time frames of this being a flat wave. This was a flat correction here, a B flat. So this would be your A wave down. This would be your B flat, where you take the highs of A just barely, and then look at where we're at. This is why I have this box here as well. Our 1.236 of an ABC correction to the downside. We're at it right now. We're at it, the maximum target of it. So this box that we're in right now, it has to hold. It has to hold. If it doesn't, we're in trouble. If it doesn't, then what could this be? This could be a 5-wave impulse to the downside, with this being a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. And let's look at our targets on Ethereum, our 1.618, which is actually even below our golden pocket. So your third wave target often will come to the 1.618. It doesn't have to, by the way. It can front run, especially if we have major support like this. If it came down here and bounced from here, but even if that's the case, say this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, this is a wave 3, and we bounce from the golden pocket, we're expecting a lower high to come in before a 5th wave, maybe to $1,200. I hate to be this bearish, guys. I know that you guys don't like it when I'm this bearish. I know we're all crypto people here. I'm just trying to show you guys possibilities to get prepared for if this is a bear market. I hope not. I think the macro economy is effed, and that's another reason why I've been bearish, because I am, first and foremost, a technical analysis, but I do take into account real-world fundamentals and real-world things that are happening in the world. Our economies have been so overinflated, so ridiculous, especially housing markets. Every single market out there has just been destroyed in the past 4 years. Normal people cannot afford to live. They cannot afford rents, incomes. They cannot afford mortgages. They can't afford groceries. Anytime you see that, you generally see a major crash in markets and a reset so people can live again. And that's kind of what we're looking at here right now. And even Trump came out and said that he's not watching the stock market, and that in some ways he's expecting a recession, or even some people, I've heard some very knowledgeable people say that he's maybe wanting a recession so that he can push the interest rates down, bond prices up, interest rates down, and then kind of reset the markets to kind of continue his plan. And that would take years. Maybe, the first 2 years of his administration, we might see a downturn in markets, and then the second 2 years, maybe an upturn. Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. I mean, I do, but I don't know how to use it. But anyways, all right, guys, I got to get going. I am going to make another video later tonight when I get home. I got to go pick up the kiddo. So have a good one. I will see you guys later.